Today marks 1 year since the Wall Street Journal's Evan Gershkovich was first detained in Russia. Here's a look at how the newspaper is commemorating the day. A blank page sits in place of where Gershkovich's story might normally appear. This week, a Russian court extended his pre-trial detention for another 3 months. Authorities there accuse him of spying, a claim that both he and the United States government reject. At the time of his arrest, he was reporting on Russia's war against Ukraine. He's the first American reporter to face detention in Russia on charges of espionage since the Cold War. I want to bring in Pjotr Sauer. He is a reporter at The Guardian covering Russian affairs and is a close friend of Evan's, and he joins us from Berlin. Pjotr, thanks so much for making time for us.
Thanks for having me.
I recall you writing back when he was first detained about how, essentially daunting it was thinking about him being imprisoned for a couple of months. And now here we are, and it's a full year later. What are you thinking today?
Yeah, it's a very sad, difficult day, a horrible milestone that we wish never came. Evan has now spent a year in a tiny cell in the Fortova prison in Moscow. He's isolated from the rest of the world. He's all alone there. So it's very difficult for him, for his family, and of course for his friends as well.
Have you been able to be in contact with Evan?
Yeah, so I send letters to Evan through the Russian prison system once a week. And Evan replies usually once a week as well, depending on how quick the prison system works. Through those letters, I get a sense that Evan, is still strong, remarkably defiant, despite the horrible circumstances. He remains curious, full of humor. We are able to communicate about our lives. I think those letters give me a lot of strength, and I hope they give him a lot of strength as well.
Do you feel like you're getting a true reflection of what he's wanting to tell you? Because, we've heard a bit about, talk that some of those letters might be censored in some way.
Well, we know that obviously the prison authorities read every letter, but every letter I've sent him and every letter that he's sent has gone through. And through that, I do feel I get a real understanding how he's doing. Evan is able to joke in his letters, and I see, the Evan I've always known, which is an incredibly funny, caring person. He's still sending out flowers through these letters to make sure that his friends get the flowers on their birthday. On my birthday in December, he made sure that I got the letter on the exact day. So he's still incredibly thoughtful, and still the same guy that we always known.
Did you try to do the same for his birthday too?
Yes, I made sure that I tried to make sure that he got the letter on his birthday.
Yeah.
Of course, it's a bit more tricky because it's the prison services that decide when he gets the letter.
When you're thinking about how it's been a year already, and what could possibly happen from here in terms of, we talked about this getting punted forward a couple of more months now. What do you think Evan is prepared for at this point in terms of the length of time that this might take?
Yeah, I think I can only imagine how hard it is for him to be there, and have his detention extended again. Of course, there's a lot of talk about a possible prisoner exchange. Both the U.S. government and Russia have said that they're working on a prisoner exchange. But for Evan to sort of hear snippets of it inside jail, that's just must be very frustrating, and have to have no control over your faith and over your life. It takes a very strong character to be able to withstand that. But Evan is such a character.
Well, you've described him in a few different ways there, Pjotr, but I just wonder, what you would want people to know about him at this moment. You talked about how essentially resilient he's been over this past year, but is there anything else that you want people to know?
Well, I just wanted people to know Evan, as a very professional, good journalist who did an amazing job covering the country, but also as a friend. He was always and is very caring. He wants to make sure that we don't worry too much about him. Tries to reassure us that he's okay, even though we know that the conditions are taking a toll. I think he did a public service to the world by being in Russia and writing about Russia, letting us know what's going on. And I think it's, for the world now, important not to forget about Evan and to make sure that he's out as soon as possible.
Pjotr, really appreciate you taking the time to tell us about your connection with Evan and the connection that you've been able to maintain over the past year as well. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks so much for covering Evan's story. I really appreciate it.
That was Pjotr Sauer, a reporter at The Guardian and a close friend of Evan Gershkovich.